Okay, so I would just like to go over some recent additions to the game. I'm not going to go too far back, but I will note how now in the game are the 2 gimbal ducky and the 2 gimbal hopper, and they work about the same except the 2 gimbal ducky is the space vehicle version and the 2 gimbal hopper is the hopper version. So basically, my ships are now divided into 2 classes. There's the space vehicle class, which includes the drone, the rubber ducky, the loader, the forward-only vehicle, and the 2 gimbal ducky. And then the hoppers are the rock hopper, the 1 gimbal hopper, and then the 2 gimbal hopper, which is here, right there. So, to go over the placeable objects, well, to go over the new content. Okay, so first I mostly focused on the hoppers, and of course I've got my picture in the way for everything. So here we have the dark moon and the red moon. So the original moon, well, this is not the original moon, but this is the one I've been using for the new hoppers, is this lunar small bigger. And you can see about what it looks like here if I zoom out a little bit. So here we have, and it's kind of supposed to be like a lunar surface. And there's invisible walls all the way around, and that's as far as you can go. And then here's your terrain that you have to work with. You can build a course anywhere in this terrain, and it should be large enough for most courses. It doesn't give you that free roam, but I don't really have that free roam available. So the dark moon is just a different kind of look, basically, so that you can kind of get a different sensation. And the ground is a slightly different color. It's of course a different place, and it's much darker. So of course your objects are still visible, but it will be kind of dark for some of the objects, which I'm going to get into shortly. But most of the objects should be plenty visible, you know. And then of course with these racing hoops, the green field lights up pretty brightly, so you'll be able to see it from anywhere that you are. Okay, so then here's the red moon. So as you can see, all of these hoppers use the same warp hopper. So here it's about the same size as the other ones. Should be exactly the same size as all the other ones actually, and it's kind of a different surface, and it's a red moon, so it's a different color. And then that way you have kind of a way to change your what you're kind of looking at the whole time. And the terrain is actually different as well, so you know, it does kind of provide you some of that, you know, more place to go. So the shapes are a little different, and everything's just a little different for them. So then it's kind of good for that. And of course, in this, I did include this low poly station, and well, the station is out in space, so it's usually for the space vehicles. But I kind of like the idea that, I mean, well, obviously it's nice and cartoony, so it's a total change of mood. And then it has this, you can just fall forever, or you can fly underneath. And so even though it has gravity here for the rock hoppers and stuff, it is kind of fun to have the kind of the infinite fall cartoony environment. So that's kind of what's going on there. So the I don't think I added any new scenes to anything but the rock hopper. So then going back to the brighter arena so we can see the objects. So the new objects, they start here, and there's this one is like really huge, and they're different sizes, and there's different stuff. And here's some new hoops, which are slightly larger than these other hoops, but smaller than these other hoops. So they're kind of in the middle and they look a little different. And then there's just a bunch of objects that you can put down. So I'll zoom out a little bit, and I'll just start going backwards up the list. So here's some hoops. Alright, so now you see the hoops, and they're a little bit different. Their colors is a little bit different, and they might fit a little bit better into the new dark and reddish themed environments, or you can use them here with some of the placeable objects. Some of these colors might go a little better with some of these new objects. So then going through some objects that are here, we have these kind of generic, maybe sci-fi looking, you know, like maybe they look like storage containers, or maybe you can just they just have a texture that kind of changes what you're looking at, you know, and you can stack them up, or you can put one someplace or something like that. And then here we have the classic cat statue, and then the empty pedestal. You know, this is kind of like, this is going to fit a little better with some of these other objects. So here we have this was a free asset where it's this kind of ancient altar themed kind of stuff. So you can kind of put this stuff around, and it's like, oh crazy, the ancient civilization on the moon. And then here's the ship, and the bay is open, and then here's the ship with the bay closed, and so you can park, it's on this landing gear, you can park that somewhere, and then you can have yourself an espresso, kind of a funny little add-in. Here's some antennas that you can put around to kind of give you that space feel. And then here's this new ship, that it's a free ship, and I had it for a while, but I decided to finally just include it. It doesn't look like, it's just as funny. I mean, you can kind of tell it's a ship once you get looking at it. So here's some objects from that other environment that you can put those here if you want, you know, just to kind of change the way things look. And they're kind of nice and large, so then you can kind of put those around and see how that fits with your hoops. By having different kinds of object, it kind of helps you make use of these different kinds of hoop as well. So here's this giant robot. You can put this giant robot in there, and actually this robot came with this pilot, and it was free. So let me get where you can see this pilot is wearing the FPV goggles and holding the controller. And so actually, and the pilot is a nice size to climb out of the ship here. So a fun thing you can do is you can park the ship, and then you can put the pilot standing next to the ship somewhere, you know, and then here's your pilot flying your drone around. And then what else do we got here? Here's this giant hangar bay that also came with the giant robot, so it's quite large. So you can put that down and just build your whole race inside of here, or you can have it kind of sitting there like that and then build into it a little bit. And then there's this quadruped robot that I've had for a while and put it in. I think this one I did buy a long time ago for a couple bucks, but it was cheap. So that's pretty much all the new objects for the hopper classes. And then to go through the remaining objects, I'll just try to put them down here. Those are the cameras. Here's these rocks. And I may try to get some more rocks that look different ways. These rocks all kind of look one kind of way, so maybe I'll try to get some more diversity in how the rocks look. Alright. I don't know why I'm crashing up there. I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm crashing on right there. There shouldn't be something right there. So there's all the objects that are in the hopper class. And then going back to the space vehicle where I added some more stuff. I'm going to go here to the giant spaceship interior. Alright, switch to my warp vehicle, get out here into the open. So this spaceship, you can go flying around in the hallways and stuff like that. This way too fast. Alright, so the new objects, I'm using these objects. Oh, wrong button. All these hoops are here as well. They're a slightly different size. But they're here. So you can tell that this kind of purpley environment, now these hoops look a lot better here. So my controls are all inverted on these different. I also added these low poly rockets. And they're pretty cool. These are all real rockets that are into a cartoony low poly state. So here we have the Starship and Artemis 1 and the Delta 5 or whatever. And then here's the space shuttle kind of stuck in there. And the Soyuz. I don't know what these other two are. I should know that kind of stuff, but I don't really care. And that's really all the new objects for this particular vehicle. And so that's really everything that's probably been put in there in the last week. Mostly I've just been working on these one gimbal hoppers and trying to play that and get some practice with it. So another thing that I did do, going back here to the main menu, is I changed the way that the resolution works or the way that the things are scaling. So if you're in a vehicle, well, if you're in a menu, any menu at all, now the menu is going to match the height. So if you switch to windowed and you shrink the height, the bottom will never fall off the screen. It'll always just shrink with the height. But if you shrink it the wide way, you can start to lose things off the side. So that's not very good. But from windowed, if you are, this just lets you have, so if you have a really wide screen and you have full screen, then the same thing will apply there. The height of your screen will determine the size of the menu. And then from here, if you're in here, it was such that the objects, these corner stuff, would also fall off the screen. But now those corner stuff is tied to the corners, which is, to understand, is the correct way to do it for some of this stuff. And so now your different things that you might see will hopefully not fall off the screen when they, if your screen is wide and you use full screen, or if you set it to windowed, then ideally the resolution should be a little bit more generally compatible. If not correct, it'll be a little bit more generally compatible is the idea. Alright, and I think that is all of the things that have changed in the last really week, I would say. And I mean, there's some things I fixed that I found were problems and stuff like that, but and then mostly the whole thing was adding the 2 gimbal ducky and the 2 gimbal hopper. So the rubber ducky is the 1 gimbal, 2 gimbal, 2 gimbal, and then all these are regular 6-axis vehicles, these 4. And the training is just not even there, so don't worry about it. But one day I'll try to get some more training content, but I'm just not terribly worried about it. You know, it's not to teach you how to interact with the game. It's just to kind of provide some basic concepts for course design and gameplay concept. So this first training level doesn't walk you through the controls, doesn't walk you through how to make courses, doesn't do that. If you load the course, the first training level, then it gives you one objective, and it's a hoop, and then it tells you to start the race, and then you go fly through the hoop and the race is over. The next training level gives you 2 hoops, and they're arranged in a particular way that you can make use of the kind of thrust that this vehicle has and then stay around the shuttle, and kind of like, it's more like orientation around the style of gameplay rather than teaching you how to play the game. So training is not terribly a concern of mine. Really, if you play a couple of the space vehicle trainings, then that's really what's going to apply. Otherwise, the loader, I think there's only one loader training level. There's not even any. So the docking is in the regular space vehicle, and one day I'll try to work on that a little bit better. But for the most part, I'm not terribly worried about it. And there's enough in there right now that if you did that, then you should get the general idea. And then hopefully I'll have more course content in the future available on the Discord. And I'd actually posted some course content to the Discord just today, where I made a little level on the Red Moon, and I was like, man, I like this, and I posted it here. So maybe I'll make a video about doing that, and then maybe I'll make a video talking through the buttons or something, and talking through, but videos are so long and nobody's gonna watch them. So alright, thank you very much.